Yeah, no, again, I think this happened in May 20th, 1967. And yeah, again, this guy saw this. Did he see this UFO just land? And he just happened to go up to it. He saw a great detail on this flying saucer. And even there's a vent. I don't know if it's like an exhaust of it. But when he got really close to it, it like turned on and it blasted him and it like burnt him right through his clothes. These perfect, is it like six, maybe nine?
Yeah, was just picture, when you a grill, of a barbecue or something like that with holes.
Yeah. Hey, can I share
And
pictures? Maybe I can get a picture of it.
don't forget, like Stephen Macalak was actually a kind of geologist. He was there to look for and mining and stuff like that. At first, like he didn't go to search UFO, and he was
Mm.
in the field, was prospecting and everything, and he saw that UFO, like a soucoupe, we can say that like that in French,
Hmm.
saucer, and
Hmm.
that actually land in front of him, and what actually was what actually funny because that craft make a rotation, and at first, we have to remember that we were in the war area, so the first thought came into his mind is like, is this a Russian craft? Is it like a US craft? Like what is this? And he was actually hearing some noise inside the craft, like somebody
Oh,
talking.
whoa.
We didn't recognize what the voice was, so he came more closer. And this is exactly what happened, like the saucer make, let's say, half a turn on himself. And he was actually touching because he has some glove.
Oh,
And he
shit.
was actually touching the craft and he saw some symbol on it, and the glove actually take fire, so you
Oh,
take it
whoa.
off. So that trap open and you can see like a glowing light, like purple glowing light, and it was hurting some noise inside, voice and stuff like that. So say hello, like who are you, and it, actually, like he take himself back a little bit and start to, because he was a prospector, paper and pen, and he was start to draw, like everything what he saw at the same times, so he draw the craft and everything, look at it, like like
Yeah.
that, he came forward, and this is how this is why the craft turned and it actually expels like a draft of vapor, like so hot his shirt taking in fire. But you can see the point on the shirt and the point on his belly, so on his chest. So he just take it off and everything. So came back at home, and he came back like so healed, like radiation, start to vomiting, I have that feeling that the time is kind of distorted, which is something that often we see, in a close encounter of, like fourth kind or something like that, so typical case. And it was actually following by militaries, because now they did close Falcon Lake for a while because they find radiation on the site. So the
Mm.
government of Canada said, no, 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 we're closing, but now they reopen and you can go there, like it's not far, but it's a kind of a wild drive to go there, like you have to go with horse and everything, but you
Mm.
can still go and see, the place exactly where's that happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again, the fact that the guy physically touched the craft and like his glove turned into fire. And then, yeah, again, then this thing just rotated perfectly enough where it was going to hit it. Who knows? Was it, you think that might have been purposely that this thing blasted him in his chest? Do you think
Well,
they did it on purpose, or do you think it was an accident that it just happened to rotate before it took off?
that's a good question. I mean, I think that it's not the only case when people touch UFO and they have contact, like
Right, right.
we have a bunch of those. Like one of the, I don't remember the date or the place, but I remember that's a case in the forest back in '92, I guess. And there was a shaped triangle, and the military actually touch it, so he
Oh yeah, I
receives
remember
some
that.
data with the number and everything. So
Hmm.
again, it's not the first time that we see that kind of behavior, so but after that, like the trace, the illness, like the shock remain with the person for a long, 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 long time. Just take the case of Dr. Reed. I don't know if you know that case.
Oh, tell me more.
Oh, you don't know the case of Dr. Reed?
But before you tell us about the case, we have a picture of this guy here with his wounds. Maybe I can share.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
go ahead.
So,
Exactly.
yeah,
See, that's one of the picture took when the medical specialists came. And what is very, very special is that the same date every year, at the same date that actually the encounter took place, let's say that just giving a number like that happened the 4th of July, but every 4th of July, every year, the cicatrices actually disappear and reappear. So it's very, very strange. But like this is very is on him for the rest of his life. So, and we have so many evidence. So that case like is so amazing because you have a contact, he touch it, he saw it. Like the UFO land and leave a trace there. We have a physical trace. We have radiation. We have reports of Canadian military, American military. Like specialists around the world came to see that. So it's a
Hmm.
very well documented case.
Yeah.
when Dustin asked the question if they maybe did it on purpose, hurt them on purpose, it made me think, and my first thought was no. If they would have hurt him, if they wanted to hurt him, they could have done it in another way with a weapon or
Absolutely,
hand.
but I is always an element of fear. Like you always fear what you don't know. But in that case, like Mr. Makalak was like relaxed enough to look, to study, so he was not a threat for that craft.
Hmm.
But on the other case, we took the case of Dr. Reed. Like the guy is a doctor, is walking his dog, the dog take loose, he's heard barking, running into the wood, see his dog being attacked back by an alien. The
Huh.
guys don't think, just take a big wood thing and just smack the hell out of the alien. But
Oh
as soon
my
as he did
God.
that, yeah, and the dog was actually disappearing. The dog became powder. He just torn
Whoa.
the dog apart. So what happened is that again the guys like became healed, lots of time, vomiting, and actually the guys have the courage to go back in his car, took a camera and tape everything. And that case is so famous because you have to go, you have to um, you have to flee, like United States, to go in Mexico because he was fearing for his life.
Mm.
So
Wow.
I don't know if your friend can go and just go with Dr. Reed Alien Encounter, and you will have actually a lot of details. But the thing that I have to say about that is that is actually the guys came, take the camera, and he was actually tape it the alien, and you know what he did?
Huh.
He take the alien, he taking into um, a life-saving blanket, and he bring the alien at home.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and he found as well like a bracelet, and he was sharing that information. And back in the days, there was a lot of UFO conference and stuff like that. So he became very famous. So famous that actually they make a special episode on fact or fear, fact or
Fiction.
fear or fact. Yeah, and that's a group of investigation. They try to debunk everything, So
Oh,
he said,
wow.
"Oh, he lie, he doesn't lie, it's all made up," and so. But if you take a look at what happened in the video, because actually he did record everything in the forest, you can tell, difficulty breathing, he's vomiting, like he just lost the like you feel lost in space, like in this area, so very interesting case.
Very
That
interesting.
is.
Going back to the first case we talked about with the guy who got burned on his chest,
Yeah.
or on his belly. When Dustin said maybe they did it on purpose, my first thought was no, and then you said it reappeared every year on
Yeah.
the same date when it happened, and then it
Mhm.
made me think maybe they did it on purpose for some reason. But what could be the reason?
Mm,
Maybe it's
mm,
just like a warning, like because it was maybe just too close, so it's just a small warning. But that technology on humans, like is so strong, so for me, I'm very not surprised if like to learn that when I was reading the case, like that all the marks was permanent, like for the rest of his life, and
hmm.
that's radiation, so maybe it was just a warning, like nothing to hurt him, but yeah.
But you said it reappeared every year on the date, right?
Yeah,
It
it
but
seems to fade away and coming back more stronger on the date when the event occur. But that information is like what we media related, like I cannot say 100%, but what is looking like is that the all the marks was fading and coming back, fading and coming back, like plague or stuff like that. So this
okay.
Mm,
this is what I heard, and
wow.
Interesting. Very.
Again, that's really crazy.
when you study
I was,
case like that, like is not new. Like you have so many example. Give you another example. Like we early on we were talking about Moses. The first encounter on the Mount Sinai and
mhm,
everything. Can
mm,
I reminding you guys that actually when we look for the mountain of Moses, the first characteristic that we say in the Bible is that all the rock is burned. So we're looking for a mountain that actually the top is actually burning. The second one, what happened in the Bible? Moses came back, it was burned. So you have to
mm,
cover it. So again, like we have the same example there. Like
uh,
Dr. Reed, same thing.
and it kind of reminds me of another case from the UK, Robert Taylor, I think back in the 60s when he was out walking his dogs out in the woods. He just happened to come across a little open area where he saw this giant ball that was on like these little looked like a tripod almost, and two other balls dropped out of it and had spikes, and they rolled towards him. And he said when they was rolling towards him, he smelled this, like smelled like burning tires. But then like right when these things got close to him, he like passed out, and he woke up and his clothes were torn, and he had marks on his body, and there was other physical traces of these vehicles or these spikes. There's um like tracks where these things were rolling around on the ground where he said he saw this thing when he brought the police back at this area. But yeah, the fact that he was just the loss of time, um, the fact that these things kind of came at him kind of aggressively and tore up his clothes. Again, it makes you think like what was the interaction? Was it bad, violent, or was it malevolent in some sort of way? But again, is it that all these stories are the same almost? They always have these kind of leave their mark when they leave or before they leave, I should say.
It's funny that you say that because again, like for the general public, it's like, oh, people are taking by UFO, alien, where's the proof? Is hysteric mass hysteria, stuff like that. But when you study the case, and you see all the small detail, burn clothes, marks, dizziness, stuff like that, the experience, you cannot make that. That's impossible. How can you create on the case of Stephen McCulloch? How can you make a person like radioactive? How can you do that?
Yeah.
How can you create? Do you think that the guy is gonna put something on his chest and ask his wife, "Honey, can you burn me on the third degree, please? Just I want to invite something." Come on, like, and for what? For what reason? Like, if I okay, OnlyFans was not existent back in those days, but if you need some attention in life, just don't do that. Like.
So, Jay, do you have more examples for us when it comes to the Oz factor or the phenomenon of missing time,
You mean in those cases, or like totally different cases?
generally spoken?
Okay, let's talk about l'effet de Oz. Oz, the Oz effect, because that's something that I heard a lot. That's something that when I investigate, witness talk to me about that. And we have, I think, 2 or 3 different things that happen when the phenomenon happening. We have the loss of consciousness, the feeling to get lost in time, or, and that's a little bit more complex, somebody's going to say UFO, is going to be with other witness. He's going to look at the UFO. The UFO is going to send a message to him. But the thing that's going to come back the most is that, I don't know for what reason, it was so silent. We cannot hear a dog barking, not even a cricket. It was a total silence. But I was in a plain city, like in the neighborhood. I can see people walking, car going by, but I cannot hear nothing except the UFO phenomenon. So what information that we do have here? The dome, so especially with triangle craft, what is look like to be like something repetitive in those cases, is that we have that the dome effect, that energy is around the witness, cutting everything around, and the only thing that the witness, can hear is the craft. But everything around that person, sound, buildings, car, dog, everything else, do not exist. But the witness on the other side, some people gonna see it, but other people on different angle will not see it. So how can you explain that someone is actually have that link with that craft, but the other people don't? But you have 3, 4, 5 witnesses on the same case. How is that possible? So this is something very interesting, and this is coming often on some case.
Yeah, the Oz factor is very interesting. I experienced something similar maybe 2 years back. I went to the woods to record sounds with my Zoom device. I wanted to record nature sounds, and I prepared everything, and I had my headphones in. And with this, I don't know if you're familiar with this Zoom microphones, you can catch everything with them.
Well, I do have a Zoom, but it's more like a microphone, and you can record in Dolby Digital, like stereo and everything. So I'm doing as well my own sound when I'm doing like a video podcast or stuff like that. So
yes, and I did set it up in the woods. When I started the recording, everything was silent. Everything was dead silent. It was so silent, it was scary. And I thought my device. sorry, I thought my device was broken, so I unplugged it and unplugged my headphones, and I double checked everything, and I plugged it in again, and it was also dead silent. But later, a few minutes later, everything was back to normal. It was like 2 minutes of dead silence in the woods, and it really got scared because it was so silent. I didn't hear the birds, and especially, and Jay, you know it, especially through the device, you can hear everything. You can hear flies and bees.
Yeah.
It was for 2 minutes, it was dead silent. It was scary silent. But then 2 or 3 minutes later, everything was back to normal. I could hear everything through my device. And so I don't know if it was broken, but even without the device on, I listened to the sounds in the woods and I couldn't hear anything. And it was, I don't know if something was wrong with me or I experienced something scary.
That's insane.
The question I want to ask you is like, what was your feeling at that moment? Did you feel something weird or not normal, or it just something happened? Because if you go into the woods, you always have the wind. Like if you heard animal, sometimes they are scared. They see us coming, so they froze. That's one thing. The other thing is that maybe you have your headphone on your head, so cutting the sound. But in the case of the UFO, is that people don't have any like headphones, So, but again, something strange when people reporting Bigfoot activity or dogman activity or paranormal activity, sometimes they say, I don't know what happened. My dog just stopped barking, or otherwise is going crazy, or like the fear is there. The dog, you cannot hear the dog, you cannot hear nothing around. It was dead silence, creepy stuff, So maybe we have something there, like very interesting.
It's a very interesting phenomenon, and you wonder if I say they, I don't know what it is, let's say aliens, or when you say it happens with paranormal activities too and Bigfoot encounters, I wonder if somebody creates this phenomenon, especially for you at this moment, so that
I
you
ask myself the same question. What is the purpose? Like in investigation, we just not only taking data, To be a good investigation, you need to ask the question that no one want to ask. Why? Why him? Why that? And it's very easy to dismiss something, but you have to ask yourself, what was the purpose for that? And I think is because the phenomenon, the UFO phenomenon, want to isolate the person to create that connection with that person.
Yes.
So if you cannot do that, like everybody's gonna see it. Otherwise, is a mass observation like Phoenix, Arizona, or the Phoenix Light, or is the UFO in Montreal like was so huge, like 65% and more saw that craft hovering above La Place Bonaventure in Montreal in the 1990s, So why they acting like that? Why one of the subtle, everybody can see the craft, and on other times is a private phenomenon. Like is for you, the UFO covering you with the dome. Like the message going to you specifically. So is very interesting.
Yeah. Maybe it's created so that you concentrate and focus on what is happening to you in that moment.
Sure.
Or maybe it's because they want to distract you from what is happening around you.
Yeah.
Could be.
I love your words. Distract you from something. You cannot say better than that. Distract you. And not only that, the phenomenon distract you, but take over your life and try to isolate you in your life. That's when the phenomenon is there, as an abductee. But I don't want to talk for everybody, but some people have a good experience. Other people is a nightmare. But like it's kind of controlling you. Like one of the witnesses told me like Jean-François, I know when they're gonna come back. I can feeling in my spine. They talk to me in my head. I shake when the craft, like I feel energy when the craft is near the house. I see exactly at what time that they're gonna come pick me up. They have that inner feeling. And most of the time it's gonna be like I got convulsion, but it's not me. Like I never be treated for any kind of disease. I'm a perfect health person, but the thing is that when I stop shaking, it's not me. I feel controlled by something. So again, like it's very 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 strange. And cannot.
You talked to people. You talked to people that experienced the Oz factor, right?
Yeah.
Did you ask them when the Oz factor did it fade away? Does it fade away like slowly, or is the sound back to normal in a heartbeat?
I would say that for now I don't have a lot of case, but I have two different ending of the scenario. Otherwise, they feel like in a bubble, in a dome, and they are kind of in the trance of what happened, and on a flash of a second, everything start again.
Okay.
Or is gradual. Like the craft's gonna move away and slowly sound will come back. So again, that the information that I received when I heard thing is that give you an example, if that's the craft, they create that dome, but if the craft move, the dome will move with it, so the energy can come from underneath, so yeah, but I think we need to study more those kind of case, because I think we have something there, like energy wise, like technology, how they control people. It's the same thing with the beam of light, like if some people say, oh, I'm in my bed, I see those beams in front of my bed, I feel electricity, and I feel that my body lift off of the bed, and I'm going through the walls on a cylinder of light. Again, we have matter, energy, dimension. So very very interesting.
We have a place here in Wisconsin called Burlington, Wisconsin, and they have a forest that's known for vortexes, where people claim to go there and they would have same experiences like silence, or they would take pictures and their pictures would be all swirly and orbs and stuff like that. Really weird area here in Wisconsin. Do you think there's other like hot spots kind of like in the same, if you just happen to go to some area where you might just find yourself in a vortex or portals?
Well, I think it's a different thing. I mean, like we all know that, like the herd have a field, indigenous people talk about vortex, skinwalker range,
Yeah.
at certain place, like, but I don't think it's related to the Oz phenomenon, because
Okay.
it's way that we got, like, let's say a corner of that street and that street, we have that kind of vortex, like all the bus gonna go inside it, so you can evaluate, every day at what time, the same hours, you take the car, you're going through that field, the phenomenon should repeat itself on a regular basis, that we can analyze that, but I think it's two different things.
Okay.
Vortex is something, I mean, for my part, and
Sure.
that phenomenon is voluntary, is concrete, and is not a vortex for
Okay.
what I study.
Okay.
Might be wrong, but this is what I think.
Sure. Sure. Well, that's very interesting though.
When you said
Yeah.
vortex, it reminded me of the story about Stonehenge. Have you heard about the vortex that happened in Stonehenge?
Well, I know that actually we have a lot of energy point. Stone Age might be one of those, but I'm not totally familiar with everything. Please do teach me. Like explain to me.
There was this group of young guys, I think in the 70s or 80s, maybe. I'm not sure. I have to look it up, but I don't know. There was this group of young guys who went to Stonehenge,
Okay.
and they were in the middle of Stonehenge. Back then, you could go in there. Now you can't go in there anymore, I think. And they were sleeping in tents. And a policeman drove by, and he stopped, and he saw the weather was getting bad, and there was a thunderstorm coming.
Mhm.
And this policeman witnessed a vortex appeared in the middle of Stonehenge where these guys were camping.
Okay.
And the storm got heavier and heavier, and it was crazy weather. And the vortex got bigger and bigger, and suddenly those guys disappeared and have never been seen.
Heard.
Yeah.
I heard that. Well, I think it was a rumor, or I think it was a TV program on that. But now that you're talking about, yes, I do remember like briefly what happened. But you say something very, 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 very interesting. Storm was coming. The weather's getting bad. You know, I ask myself like, to the weather not playing a part of creating that vortex at that place, and if that's the case, can we study case of UFO with the Oz dome, like, and take a look at the weather that day, like looking more in looking more deeper into the case, and maybe try to see a kind of currents, like maybe just saying,
Maybe it wasn't a real thunderstorm. Maybe it wasn't the weather itself.
Mhm.
Maybe it was just in that spot. Maybe something created in that spot. Maybe the weather did not really change. It was just around Stonehenge, maybe. And it
Yeah.
makes me even more think that the UFO phenomenon and paranormal phenomenon and Bigfoot and everything within is a multi-dimensional phenomenon.
I totally agree with you. I think that we're dealing with something sorry,
Multi-dimensional.
yeah, thank you, multidimensional. But it's strange because if you like a lot of UFO case, like the UFO create like a kind of storm around him to hide himself inside. One was something that, well, can be the weather, normal weather, but can be also that. In the report of the police here in Montreal on the case of the Place Bonaventure, was amazing to see that people can see, the craft, and as the ship was like going a little bit more higher, he created it like on, like a weather pattern, like it create like not a storm but cloud, it was cloudy and everything, just enough to hide himself from everything. We see that on multiple occasions on different case. And the same thing, I heard that in the triangle, Bermuda Triangle is the same thing. How many times we heard that a ship was coming inside, and one of the sudden, like the weather is getting bad, a portal open, the greenish kind of air was there, all the electricity and the tools inside the cockpit of the boat or the plane was going crazy, disappeared and reappeared on the other end, So again, the storm was there, So very interesting.
It makes you think that with all that happening, vortexes, thunderstorms, if all that is create all these phenomenons, missing time, Oz factor, if all that is created by someone, we don't know who, but if all that is created, all this stuff, I think, needs a lot of energy and power to be created.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
they're not here just to look at our flowers and bees, birds,
Yeah.
and us. They must be here for a really, really important reason, I think.
Yeah.
Must be.
I think that, like, I think that UFO have that autonomy to create that kind of events, because if they're using free free energy, for them, if you can glide, disappear, reappear somewhere else, you know it's not difficult to them for them to, I'm just like saying that like that, to take the energy of the earth and play with it, so they can use energy from the earth and just using that for their own device and apply that to what they need to do with humans. That's
Yeah,
another possibility.
yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm thinking too much of a human here, because everything that we do, which is really powerful, costs us a lot of energy and money. And imagine blowing up a spaceship on
Yeah, absolutely.
to the
But
into.
that's more like a chemical and mechanical system, but
Yeah.
again, give an example. Guys, I'm gonna need you guys to help me with that case, because it's not a UFO case, but there was Linda Hamilton. I remember she was talking about that, and I think it's Arizona or Mexico or a place. I think somewhere else. They have that rock, huge rock, and you have a T carved into it. It's like a door, a portal.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
You
I know what
heard,
you're talking about.
about that. And
Yep.
like legend goes that that's an old civilization when Indian people, and they
Yep.
have a sun disk and they can put there, the priest disappear inside that. But
Yep.
again,
Yep.
someone came there to study, and with vibration, with a sound, it just laying down on the door, and the wife of that person witnessed him like going through a white door, a vortex of energy. And when
Wow.
he came back, he just said that, like, I was with other beings, I was like in heaven, and I went to another dimension, and like very fascinating, very fascinating. But the thing is that, we didn't have any UFO on that case, so is it
Hmm.
the energy of the earth that actually created that? And can we use that? You know?
Sure. And you got to wonder if some of these spots are on ley lines too to gain some of the
Hmm.
power and energy. Hmm.
Yeah. Nazca line, same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like why we have so much like paleo contact, and we have so much stuff going on around the world with the old civilization, and the message is there, the star, the line, the energy of the earth, something is there, and I'm very, very, very sure that the UFO phenomena is close related to that. Now everybody's going to tell me, oh, you believe in the ancient alien theory. We cannot put that theory on the side,
No
like
way.
abduction, like all civilization, religion,
Hmm.
technology, like everything is coming and blending together, so
Yes.
it was not fair to just take something and just push that away because we don't know how to deal with it. I think that the
Hmm.
problem with UFO is like so much bigger that we need to pay attention to all the small detail. Sorry.
Yes. No, you're right. And it's throughout history
What?
all around the world of cases with ancient aliens. So, yeah, it's the story is not new.
Yeah. No, I know all the
uh,
Christians gonna kill me because I said that, but
oh,
that's
whatever.
like,
Well, that's another thing too. Only if the Christians knew that the Bible has so many stories that talk about extraterrestrials, this, if you just change a few words in the Bible, it makes even more sense.
Absolutely.
Because if
See,
you
that,
think of it, you think of Ezekiel and the wheel, and
yeah,
you think of
exactly.
Moses, and obviously Enoch. The book of Enoch
Yeah,
actually has more detailed stories of angels fighting amongst themselves and creating mating with women and creating giants on earth and other weird
but
stuff.
that's a direct interpretation of the Sumerian tablet,
Yeah.
the all
Mm-hmm.
narrative,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
I remember, like I remember I was like five or six, no, sorry, maybe more nine. I was going to the church near the place, Catholic church and everything. And the first thing I opened the book and I read the word God, like capital G, God with a S.
Mm.
But at my school, they told me that if that's a S, that's a plural. So do we talk about the Trinity or not? And after that, they asked me to read, like the Genesis and everything. And the first thing I read is like, make, let's make them to our own likeness. Who they? Like we talk about one God or more than one God. And it seems to me that they're talking together, more than one, and they say, let's create human to our own likeness. Again, who's they? So now you're trying to understand why so Yahweh is like so bad with people, and the other one is like so merciful and it's so full of shit, and the other one is like full of love and like can we have a break, like
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
it's very easy to try to understand. And when you take a step back and read the Bible, and we include all the old book like the Torah, the Quran. The Quran is amazing, like how story we have into UFO phenomena, like and you go and study the words, only the word Elohim, like change everything. The glory of God, by the glory was actually the kavod. And what is the kavod? You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to the source of the word, is something flying. It's not the grace of God. How can Moses asked to Elohim, can you show me your glory? And God say, no, 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 no. You have to, if you want to see it, you have to be on the mountain on the other side, and you can see my glory only from behind. Huh? Um, I can show you my glory from behind as well if you want, no problem. You know? But when you understand, and he says something more. He said, I want you to cover yourself, and I want you to be behind the rock. Because if you are too close to my glory, you will die. So if you analyze that right away, it's like that's a warning. My ships will go towards the north. I want you to hide behind the rock because if you are too close, the energy will burn you. And next thing you know, it was burned. You know, it
That's
was not
funny.
glowing red for a reason because God loved him. Like doesn't work like that. But see, that's small details that like we need to understand. Like it's fascinating.
No, you're right. No, you're exactly right. Even when um Jonah gets swallowed up by that whale and he lives in it for 3 days, he describes inside the whale that the ribs were glowing gold, and he's living inside this thing for 3 days. So it's like, again, this USO got him
Yeah.
and did, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that's the only way he could describe it, was this whale thing fucking swallowed him, and he was, amazing stories again. And then flying chariots with like fire and smoke and rumbling and people witnessing it. Again, I think the Bible is just like a UFO uh, catalog of all the stuff that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's all these witnesses. It just can't be just one person. Even with other holy books, like the Hindus, like they saw these
Yeah, the
the gods
time of
coming down in
love to
flying
God.
vimanas, you know.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, as a Christian, as a Catholic, as a Muslim, you know, like we are so afraid that if that the truth, that taking out the belief that we have, you know, we are so much fear that, oh my God, they lied to us, and that will change my belief, and at the end, who am I as a human being? You know what the fuck I'm doing on earth? Did I just like have a bad word? Yes, I just did, but that's okay.
No, you can cuss all you want.
Yeah.
Thank you. But the thing is that when you take a step back from all religion, and no matter what kind of story of creation you're going through, you always, always, always have the prime God, you know, most higher God, you know. And even there, if we came and we acknowledge that the God that we are connected with is a consciousness God, and that's the source, change nothing to the God. You know, I won't pray to those God that actually was more like human being like with technology. But if every day of my life, you know, like I'm doing something to help people, I feel in love, I feel great, you know, and I expand my consciousness and I feel that connection with God or consciousness, where's the problem? We don't have any problem.
No,
Take the spiritual phenomena take nothing out the God question, for my part.
the big problem today is that people nowadays have manifested the biblical story, the religious side of it, so firmly that we sometimes do not allow more logical conclusions to be drawn. That's the problem.
Absolutely.
We're trapped in folklore, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Oh, you believe in alien? Haha, that's only stories. But you want to ask me to believe in a God that asks people to do sacrifice, but do not dare touch religion. You can laugh about UFO, but dare do not touch religion.
No, we did.
Do not touch.
You shall not laugh
No.
about a guy walking over water or feeding hundreds
There
of
you go.
people with a fish or healing people from the plague. No, we shall not laugh about that. But
Absolutely not.
we
You
can
banned.
laugh about UFOs and aliens.
Yeah.
That makes no
And
sense.
see, the Vatican have like actually the Vatican like did a scientific colloque. I don't know the word in English, but that's a gathering in scientific community. And here in French is a des colloques académiques. I don't know in English what is this, but maybe you can help me. And they actually went through the question of extraterrestrial life. You know, like, and th- they went through this. The Vatican go through that process right now. They they make they build an observatory. The name of that observatory is Satan. You know, and they push young researcher or private group or scientific to study the question. You know, even the United Nations push people to study the phenomena. So I think that in 2023 we have to be more open-minded about it. You know, like we need to come together and work that. You know, conspiracy theory. You know, like the disclosure project. You know, that's one part of what we know, we don't know. I think that people inside, they know the truth. When you ask that a witness or an experiencer, do you believe in what you saw? For them is a reality. You know, like I know what I'm going through. I know what I'm living. You know, like for them is justified. You know, like if you're going to if you have mental disease, you see the pattern, you see the medication, like you see the behavior of the person, but congressmen, doctors, lawyers, military, they're going through the same thing. Do they are crazy? So I think we are up to a new look, a fresh look on the UFO subject.
It would be a big step if the awareness of the great masses would be sharpened for such phenomena like UFO phenomena or paranormal phenomena. That would be a big step if people would stop laugh about it and be open for it, more open for it. But the
Only
sorry.
only stop only if we can just start with stopping at laughing at people, first of all, and do the work that we need to do with the technology that we can, and try to not take the UFO phenomena and put that into the scientific box that we all love and share. And again, do not broke that box because science can come down, like science is good, but I mean, you cannot mold, like you cannot replicate all the time the UFO phenomena into the scientific pattern of the box, but we can work around it. We have so many proofs, so many things that we can compare, and is a bunch of research for the human science. That's amazing, So I think we have something there, we just, if we can come together and work against the COVID as a one people together, why can we not go and work together to try to understand that? Like we take a year to create a vaccine against the COVID, and everybody on the earth, all the country work together. Can we do the same thing? I think is a matter of if we want it, but if it's okay, if we want it, if you want to study it, if we want to go through this, but I think that scaring people is the answer at the end. Again, it's coming back, money wise or whatever. But even if aliens do exist, even if like God is an alien, like at the end of the day, some people, human are not totally ready to accept what might be the truth.
True.
Me, I can, but ask the same question to a Jewish, very Orthodox Jewish person, or a Muslim person, or scientific person, like, do you will take your value on the side? Like we have so much problem with religion right now. Like it's gonna be crazy. People are gonna get suicide. People, we're gonna have mass hysteria. So imagine if the land on the White House failed. With Joe Biden say, "Hey guys," and go have the landed. Mr. President, that way. And just go walking next to him like, just kidding. I love my prime minister. I just love him so much. Yeah.
I was gonna say, let's bring it back to the ancient aliens. I was gonna say, we all have tattoos. I was gonna say, I like your sleeve there. What do you have there?
Oh, that's a phoenix. It's not finished yet.
Oh, that's cool.
But
Yeah.
the wing is in the back. I have the moon here, and that's a phoenix taking off with a robin with the Chinese. But it's the name of my father, the name of my mother, and my brother. Both of my parents are deceased from cancer, so there was a way for me to honor them. And the phoenix for me is always that the energy, the rebirths and life and everything. So
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm very
I'm
spiritual
sorry to,
person.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your family, man. But it is a
That's
beautiful
right.
tattoo. That's a beautiful tattoo, man. No, I was gonna bring it as
I have
as
another one
mis-
that you can see from
yeah.
behind.
Oh yeah.
Ah,
No, I was gonna say, as mysterious as Ancient Aliens is like how did mankind get into tattooing? And I always kind of thought maybe it was from ancient astronauts that maybe even ancient astronauts had some kind of sort of tattooing where ancient man was like, "Oh, I want to do have something similar to that to kind of mimic what they saw and interacted with, even with other
absolutely.
body modifications. Sorry, like stretching out the lips or to look like more, or stretching out their heads to
Elongated
elongate their
skulls.
heads,
Yeah.
right,
Shadow,
to
shadow
mimic the
bending.
gods. Hmm.
And
So I was
it
just
was
wondering
funny.
if you
I
maybe you
saw
ever
some.
thought about that.
Sorry.
I'm just curious if you ever thought about if ancient aliens had some intervention in our tattooing or body work.
That's a good question. I think that at one point we, like I say that the cradle bending
Hmm.
is copy what the god was looking like. So
Hmm.
again, we have a connection there. We have African women. Like they put every year at your birthday, they put a kind of metal necklace, but it's
Yeah.
so tight they ended up with a neck like that is very
Yeah.
dangerous. If you take that off, she can die. Like literally, the neck's gonna broke. But they instant that, or the lips, with the big ball, at the
Hmm.
front,
Yeah.
or some civilization do, like they take a knife and they cut the skin to
Yep.
look like a serpent, a crocodile, But
Right.
again, this is according to the myth of the god. It came from the sky, like the reptile, the flying
Yep.
dragon.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
maybe that's a good theory, man. I'm in for that. Absolutely, So
Cool. Yeah. I was always curious about that. And I'd like to hear other people's opinions.
Yeah.
mhm.
To
No, I think that's pertinent. Yeah, absolutely.
to finish up this episode, you have a special surprise for us today.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So because I feel happy today, I got that wonderful book, Hidden Through Forbidden Knowledge from, on your part, guys, Stephen Gear. And it's an English book, you know. And because I'm very happy and I love you guys so much, I'm gonna give you, the chance to maybe ask your audience, a question. And the first person that what actually gonna respond to that question we will receive the book, and I will ship it to you, and you will ship it to them if you want. So what about that?
That'd be
Are you in?
perfect.
Sounds
Yes.
Okay,
good.
perfect,
Sounds
perfect.
good. So we will think about a question and show the question at the end of the episode, and
Okay.
also put an email link
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
below it. And the first person who sends an email wins this book. Great.
That is
Perfect. So I want
awesome.
to make sure that I'm shipping that book to you guys, and it's gonna be a way for me to thanking you for receiving me on the show, and again to give something to your audience because we do love them. Without them,
Yes.
we are not there. What do you
That's
think?
true. That's true. No,
That's
thank you so much. And it's such a great idea that you had. And I'm excited to announce that Jay will be with us more often to interview other people who have contacts and abduct cases and other things. So yeah, I'm excited to work with you more in the future here.
Yeah,
So you'll
and
be seeing more of Jay.
yeah, absolutely. And do I have a last 5 minutes?
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
I falling in. I opened my book because I didn't move. And if you want to study, like basic stuff, to try to understand the mentality of the person and abductees and everything, a good book, guys, you will love that. That's classic. Taking by extraterrestrial, 100 case of Abduction by John A. Mack. I think that's a classic. If you want to study, you know, I think that everybody knows who was John Mack was, you know.
Yeah.
We have Stephen Gear, again, non-identified. That's another one that's very, very interesting. And we have, again, a classic, Whitley Strieber, Transformation.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know. But see, to understand a little bit what the person going through, you know, those books are small books, old books, but God, that, you know, like everything is in there, you know, like for me is kind of the Bible to work with, you know.
Sure.
And if I may, on an
Please.
international level, from Rémi Fauchereau, because you know that I'm working with French people, you know, like I'm part of the group called ODH TV. A wonderful book is the recording of the UFO manifestation in Lyon by Rémi Fauchereau. So again, it's a wonderful book. It's in French, but you know, like you need to get that book. It's very complete. A lot of picture inside, you know.
Cool.
So very, very nice. On a more Québécois note, from here where I am, Chantal Goupil, Le Chant de la Sirène. She's actually a woman that she been abducted, and she developed a special skill. She can breathe from the water after that encounter.
Oh.
So ça fait partie, is make part of La Collection Profonde de Jean Cazot, a wonderful, wonderful writers that we have the chance to work here in Quebec. So wonderful thing. C'est le chant de la sirène, the singing of the mermaid. So see, and a very good case by the MUFON Canada is Pierre Caron and Marc Saint-Germain, the child of Sylvie P. So this is a story from an abductee that actually being taken when she was younger, and the female came back in her life, and she actually be there to carrying some couple of child for them. So yeah. So we have medical report, we have what she's going through, you know, like all the hybridization program, and you know, the alien contact with her, explain to her why she's going through this, you know, how many child that she have, the hybridization with the alien, you know. Each time she coming back, you know, she take the fetus and everything. So it's a very, very good book. You can buy that in Amazon. I think you can go on the MUFON Canada website, and we have a special opening from Don Donnery from McGill University.
That's awesome.
So great, great reading, guys, for you guys if you want.
Awesome.
And I'm glad that you did that. Like, we actually, when you have you back on, we'll have you introduce some more books to our audience to gander and look at. I think that's a great idea. Actually, that you said that there's a woman here in Wisconsin that wrote a book about her experience throughout her childhood of the ETs would abduct her and have some sort of relationship with her. But this is her book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it was maybe funny to try to compare those two experiences.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
That was be like,
cool.
You know, just for fun to compare the case might be great.
Sure. Yeah. Man, I'm so excited for our future projects with you. So, man.
So am I.
I want you to stay with us for 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. I got all the time that you want.
All right, cool.
Just for you.